If you're a real estate agent and you're tired of cold calling, door knocking, and spending money on ads, then subscribe to this podcast. We discuss leveraging the power of YouTube for your real estate business and how these strategies earned us over $1 million in GCI our first year in real estate. My name is Levi Lascsak and my partner is Travis Plumb. Let's get started.
All right, well, let's get started. This is Passive Prospecting YouTube for Real Estate, and today we're talking about some updates, but also updates for 2024. But at the same time, I'm going to share with you some numbers for us, just because you can pretty much count 2024 at a close at this point. You should know all your numbers. You should know what's pending for next year, what's coming up. So I'll just share with you everything that happened for us on the production side on YouTube. So for those of you that are here now, you're in for a little treat. So we'll break that down. I'll break down also calls, text, emails. We kind of have all that. So it's interesting to see like where the business has come from. And then Chrissy's going to get in a couple of updates coming in for next year, and then we'll probably close it out from there. So let me see here. First of all, let me pull this up and get ready to go. All right, so 2023 for us on YouTube. Now remember, this is in a market with 7.5% rates at least the whole time. We went above 8 for a little while, but pretty much 7.5% rates. And where people said buyers, everyone was out of the market. But again, this just shows that if you have the visibility out there, and visibility can come in any different way. It can come from YouTube. It can come from cold calling, door knocking. That is a form of visibility. So I do believe that most visible agents will have won in 2023, and the most visible agents will capitalize the most moving into 2024. So that's why you want to make sure you're consistent in your lead generation methods, and that you're also, you are visible however it is that you are generating business. Because I know YouTube's not for everybody, but that's okay. All right, so here we go. We got total leads, 713. Of course, we could have a few more by the end of the year, but let's just call it 713 for now. Down. It's way down from last year. But again, 7.5% interest rates, that averages out to about 2 leads per day. Now these are qualified buyers. These are not rentals or lease leads or anything like that. We don't include any of those, only if they're a qualified buyer. So 713, 2 calls a day. Imagine if your phone still rang twice a day with people that wanted to work with you and were interested in making a move in a market where rates are 7.5%. I think that would still make a big impact on a lot of people's businesses. We ended up closing, this is just YouTube only, it doesn't count our other business. So we ended up closing 58 transactions from YouTube. Conversion would be about 8.1%. Closed volume just over 35 million, actually just under 36. So $35,812,116, and right at $1,061,328 in GCI. So that is, and then if we break that down, it's interesting because people can call, text, email, or Zoom, and this is how the lead flow came in. The lead flow came in by 104 phone calls, 54 text messages, 69 emails, 120 Zoom appointments. So we had 120 Zoom appointments, 218 relocation forms. I'll talk about that here in a little bit. The last 2 years, we did not have any lead magnets, and that a lead magnet is like a free giveaway to capture somebody's information. We just waited for people to call us. And this year we tested for about 6 months a relocation guide that people could download and we could capture their information. So that actually became our number one lead source, but we've discontinued it. And I'll tell you that here in a minute why we did that. Survey 118 leads. And survey means that they filled out on the front end of our Zoom call, they fill out a survey and then they book a Zoom call. People will fill out that survey and then not book a Zoom call. So we got 118 of those. And then we do have an investor form because we're working on multifamily now. and doing capital raises and things like that, we got 28 leads from our investor forum. So when you break that down, what does that mean in closing? So here's the thing. Phone calls were a little over 14% of the inbound leads, but we ended up closing 11 deals, which became 18, almost 19% of our closed deals from phone calls. Text messages, 54, so that was about 7.5% of our lead flow. And we closed 10, though, from text messages, so that was about 17.2% of our closed deals. Emails, 69 emails, that was only 9.6% of our inbound leads, but it worked out to 11 closed deals for 19% of the closed volume from YouTube. Zoom, 120 inbound leads, so that's 16.8%, and we closed 15 deals from Zoom, so that became 25% of the closed volume of inbound leads. Relocation form, here's the deal. 218 became 30% of the inbound leads, but we closed zero deals from a lead magnet. And it was the highest lead form. Survey, 118 inbound leads. That was 16.5% of our inbound leads, and we closed 7 of those. So people filled out the survey, but they didn't book a Zoom call, but we were still able to close 7 of those deals. And then we're working on clearing out. We got 4 undetermined, so we got to categorize those. We have to do a little bit more digging to see they didn't get tagged properly. But overall, 19% closings from phone calls, 17% from text, 18%, 19% from email, 25% from Zoom, 12% from the surveys. That's pretty even. You can see how that's almost a pretty even across the board, between 20 to 25%. So it's interesting how we have those different ways that people can contact us and the closings. Now on the inbound leads, though, definitely lopsided. The lead magnet became number 1, but the Zoom calls and the survey form were really the number 1 inbound leads if you don't count the relo forms. And then phone calls were next on that list. So people still want to talk to you, right? They make those phone calls, and of course the Zoom calls. We can see when we get somebody on Zoom or have a conversation with them, that's typically going to lead to a better conversion. We love to call this passive prospecting, but it's active conversion. So even if they text in or something like that, we need to still get them on the phone or Zoom to solidify that relationship and go ahead and close the deal. Let me see if there's anything else interesting on here. I mean, totality for us, so 35.8 million closed from YouTube. We're going to end up finishing the year in total about 69 million in production. So half of it came from YouTube. The other half came from referrals and things that we've already built up. Imagine that. This is our 3rd year in the business, and we've already got 35 million in referrals, past clients, those types of things building up in there, because we didn't really close much from other lead sources. We tested a couple of paid strategies, didn't really pan out too well. And we know moving into next year, we are going to focus on going a lot deeper versus wider. This year, because lead flow is down on YouTube, it caused us to work on something like pay-per-click. We're like, okay, well let's buy pay-per-click leads and give that to the team, because we grew a team, an expansive team in 2022 because we had to. We were averaging 5.5 leads per day. That's a lot. I mean, that's 150 leads a month. You have to have a team in place to be able to handle that volume. So, and that's why we did so much volume in 2022. But this year, when it goes down to 2, what happened was lead flow slowed down. And, salespeople, they were like, okay, they start getting a little antsy, right? If things aren't steady Eddie, or if they're just not flooded or overwhelmed. And so we thought, okay, well, let's expand a little bit. We'll pay for some pay-per-click leads. And what happened was now we hired an ISA team to start going through our database. And what they have already found is that we lost between 10 to 15 deals to that of people that contracted with other agents. So my analysis of that is that leads slowed down, but still think about it. If 2 people were calling us per day wanting to do business in a 7.5% interest rate market, we should have stuck with them. If we would have stuck with them, we could have squeezed out an extra 15 transactions. But instead, we got shiny object syndrome, decided, hey, let's expand and bring in more lead flow, right? Because it's all about the brand new lead. That's what everybody thinks. And instead, we should have gone deep. We should have just been patient. We should have nurtured those relationships a little bit better. And we would have had more deals closed than we did, because I think we closed a couple, maybe 2 or 3 through pay-per-click, and probably spent just as much in ad spend for that. So it's something that now moving into next year, we're not doing pay-per-click. We're not going to do that. We're not going to spend money on leads again. We're going to get back to our roots, back to the basics, and make sure that we are handling our number one lead source, YouTube, with white gloves. And if it's a little slow in the beginning, that's okay. We're just going to be patient, because we do know on average that people that call us contract within 60 days. So I would say we definitely got a little spoiled off of that. And so what happened this year is, as things started to slow down and people were a little bit more patient, it's not that they weren't moving. It's not that they weren't, buying homes. It's just that they were a little bit more patient, right? And they were rightfully so. They could be. This is a sellers/buyers market. It's sellers market because of the inventory levels, but it's a buyer's market because you're able to negotiate. You're able to get concessions. You're able to get, cash back, closing costs paid, things like that. You can actually get inspections or ask for repairs. So it is a buyer's market, even though it's indicated a seller's market by the inventory. Allow me to take a quick break to remind you that we have very important links in the description below. If you want the full story of how we closed over $1 million in commissions our first year and over $2.3 million in commissions our second year, check out the first link. Also, you have the link to our #1 Amazon best-selling book, Passive Prospecting. Last, if you enjoy this podcast and you're a giving person, leave a 5-star review, please. Now back to the episode. And we should have just been patient. We should have been patient, worked on that, and not lost focus. And what happened is that because we had some team members get shiny object syndrome, and we were the cause of it because we provided the shiny objects, then they were always chasing down that fresh lead, and they didn't follow up in the best way with the ones that were there, the people that were right in front of us. And those people contracted elsewhere. And we know that because the ISA team confirmed that as they're calling through, then that's it, and so that's something else. That's the old saying, work smarter, not harder. That's part of it right there. And so as we move into 2024, we are going to make sure we are 100% focused on YouTube. We are going to make sure we're nurturing all of those clients. We have already put into place a system and a process to make sure that the right things happen, for these clients that are reaching out to us. So if they are a little patient and they take a little bit longer, then we need to do that as well. So we're going to work with them, right, instead of against ourselves, which is what it really comes down to. So these are some insights that I've seen already as we look at our business. Last week we had our quarterly planning session where we spend 8 hours planning for the next quarter. So one day a quarter, our team gets together, our executive team, and we sit down for 8 hours and plan out the next quarter. And we made some pretty hefty goals, but they're all attainable. And I'm more excited for 2024 than I have been for the past 3 years. We've got momentum. We've got the right systems in place, the right people in place, the right processes in place, and we're perfectly positioned. We've got the content in place, so we're ranking back in all of our suburbs. Last year, about halfway through last year, there's a lot of people starting to come up with channels for some reason. I have no idea why, but a lot of people starting channels out there now, especially in the Dallas area. And so you know what? It just made me have to get better, right? I said I've got to make better content. I've got to reclaim those spots. I realized, okay, I got to step back up. We reshot all the neighborhoods, and right now if you search them, most likely we've been able to recapture the number one spot in every Dallas neighborhood. So, that's going to put us right there at the top. Our other videos are ranking there as well, and it's just a part of the process. And so now we know we've got the visibility aspect there. As soon as interest rates start to come down a little bit, we know the phone's going to ring off the hook, which this year, anytime there's a fluctuation in rates, we saw that in phone calls. It's the one thing we could correlate directly to phone calls. We've had a few videos, I would say, go mini viral. I wouldn't say viral, but mini viral. If you look at our content, it stays pretty steady, consistent. We can, I always love trying to get 1,000 views in the first day when we release a video. And we can range anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 views in the first day. And we're always trying to be number one on our top 10 list. And we've had a couple of videos, in the past that have taken off. We've had a couple of videos recently gain some traction. But again, it doesn't necessarily mean the phone's just going to ring off the hook. But when interest rates drop, we see the phone ring. Whenever they go up, it kind of backs off, quiets down a little bit. Then interest rates come down, phone rings again. And so we know if rates come down even more next year, which that's what it's indicating, then likely we're going to have a lot of phone calls. Well, actually, we'll have about 25% phone calls and 25% emails and 25% text messages, and you get the idea. But otherwise, it's pretty interesting whenever you look at the numbers, the year-end numbers, what's going on, and also the different types of things that we experiment with, like a lead magnet. And that's okay. You know what? Even though we didn't close one of those deals, we still got 219 leads from it, and they'll be in the database. We'll reach out. We'll still, we'll be a little bit more on the active side there, and on that matter. But that's okay. It really gave me some insight on how to structure and what to focus on for next year. And I think for me, again, we're gonna try a new style of our live podcast. Which our live event, or not our live event, but our live weekly live that we've been doing on the channel, we're going to be doing that a little different. We're going to do that kind of like podcast style tonight. Usually it's just Travis and I on Zoom or on a StreamYard, and this time we're going to do it in studio, so to speak, in my office together. So we'll test that out a little bit, but anytime we do these live streams, we get leads. We can convert usually anywhere from 3 to 5 people the next day from that live stream into giving us a call or a text or something like that, because you can communicate directly with them. And so there's another strategy I'm thinking about doing. Actually, I should post that. I'm going to post that poll right now as we're on this podcast live. And I'm just going to post a poll on the YouTube channel and ask, we're thinking about doing, should we host let me go to the community tab. Should we host a monthly private Zoom call? That would be interesting. So I'm going to go on my community tab. I'm going to do a little text poll and say, should we host I'm just going to say, should we host a private Zoom call to answer your questions, where you can jump on Zoom, with us live and answer any of your questions about the Dallas market. And I'm just going to say yes or no and see what the community says. And that would be something where maybe once a month in the community tab, we can say, hey, we're doing our monthly, we could call it the monthly town hall or something like that. We're going to do the monthly town hall on this date. And maybe once a month we put out and host a Zoom call where people can come on in a group setting. That might be interesting. So actually, I'm going to type that up right now. Host a live Zoom call where you can ask us questions directly, for 30 minutes to an hour. I'm going to leave that out, where you can ask us questions directly. And we'll see, yes or no. And we'll let the community decide. And that could be something else we could try out, just a different way to see if we can attract business and bring some interest back to it. But otherwise, we've been doing these Tuesday lives, and we've done them in the past, and they've always worked well for us. It's just with my travel schedule over the past couple of quarters, then it's been a little bit of a challenge to do that. Oh, I should change that to live. It said love Zoom. That wouldn't be good. That would not be something I should post on the community tab. Should we host a love Zoom? Live Zoom where you can ask us questions directly. All right. So that's funny. I'm glad I caught that. All right, so the thing is that we're all planned out. We're ready to go for Q1. We have some pretty lofty goals for the year. We sat down. We had our quarterly session. And something I've always said before is that your night, they say your night starts the night before, your day starts the day before, your week starts the week before, month the month before, quarter the quarter before, and year the year before. And, I'm already looking at my calendar for next year. I've already got a couple events scheduled out where I'm heading to. It's actually going to be less. That is one of the goals, is I'm going to cut down on travel a little bit. But of course, things always pop up. I was not traveling until March, but I've already got invited somewhere in January. So that looks like the first trip of the year will be January. And it's just is what it is. But otherwise, insights on YouTube, the production, less than last year, yes, but we're still going to end up around 70 million total. That's down from last year, about 20%, 20 to 25%. But whenever I talk to everybody else out in the marketplace, they say the exact same things. I mean, most people are down about 25 to 30%. And the thing is that we're just down transactions that same amount, 30 to 50%, depending on your market. Now, some are saying next year, 2024, is going to be a boom year for real estate agents. I sure hope so. That's for sure. I also have heard the opposite, right? A lot of YouTube gurus out there that don't sell real estate, that just look at the data, that have been predicting the crash for the last 4 years now, are saying 2024 is going to be the crash. So we shall see. I know there's a lot of buyer demand on the sidelines, and if these rates come down, it will be interesting as things pop up. So let me see here. Chrissy, anything? I don't know. I guess you don't have a lot of insight on our numbers, but anything you want to add for end of year planning? I know you love our planning sessions, so.
Yeah, our planning sessions are always really good. And I would just reiterate the fact that if you're not planning for your next quarter, then you are behind. Especially with your videos, the people who get started in December and January are going to be the ones who actually stand out, as opposed to people who try to get started after, the first quarter. It's going to be really hard to keep up with the people, especially if we do have these interest rates continuing to fall, which a lot of experts are predicting several cuts in 2024. So you're going to be behind if you don't get going on it. And so it's just start thinking about those goals, start thinking about, what you really want to do with your YouTube strategy. If you've been on the fence for a really long time and you keep on thinking, I want everything to be perfect, just remember that the people who try to reach this perfection probably will never put anything out. So just start putting some content out there, even if it's not perfect. Start doing your vlogs, start doing your map videos, your pros and cons videos, and trust me, you'll be so much farther ahead than the person who tries to start in the spring of next year.
Therefore, all right. If you have any questions, throw them in the chat. Let me see. Let's see. I'm on the East Coast. Lisa says I'm on the East Coast. Washington D.C. metro area buyer showings are up since the small rate drop so far. Exactly. We're seeing the same thing. That phone calls. Travis is showing homes right now. Vince is showing homes right now. People are out. I'm in these communities. I'm filming these model homes in the new construction communities. There's cars lined up outside of them, and builders right now are only releasing a couple of lots. It's going back to that situation that we saw before. We're only releasing 1 or 2 lots right now. Now I know they're trying to protect themselves, but still, all these communities I'm going to, I'm just seeing the cars outside, the traffic, people coming in and out, and so I do hope that that's the case, and if rates do come down, they're saying maybe to 5% by the end of Q1 as well. They come down to 6%. 6% is going to look good. I remember whenever they went up to 5, and everybody thought it was the end of the world. Well, in 2019, I bought my other house. At a 5% interest rate in 2019, and at the time that was the best rate we had seen in a long time. I didn't even blink an eye. I was like, 5%? That's cool. Yeah, I'll take that. didn't even think twice about it. And then we got up to 5% last year, and everyone was like, oh my God, that's just way too much. Well, when they come down to 6, everyone's going to be going, 6? Yeah, that's not so bad. I can handle 6. And if they go down to 5, it'll be game over at that point. And I know we're perfectly positioned to capitalize with the amount of content we have out there, plus all the new stuff we've been working on and things like that. So, Chrissy, is there some updates coming up for YouTube?
Yes, there are some really good updates coming up in the next couple of months, especially in January. The thumbnail tester is coming out for YouTube. And the interesting thing about it is that actually, as opposed to the 2 thumbnails that you can actually do with TubeBuddy and some of these other testing platforms, it will allow you to do up to 3 thumbnails at a time, and it will give you some really good detailed analytics for those thumbnail tests as well. I think it's very interesting because it seems like some of these new AI tools that are coming out directly through YouTube are kind of trying to compete with TubeBuddy. So you're going to be familiar with a few of the things that are coming out, including their new analytics insights tool, which they haven't given a final date, I don't believe, on when that's going to be released. I think that's still in beta, but that is going to be giving you some really interesting AI insights that will help you understand the analytics. So if the analytics have been what's been holding you back from trying to get into YouTube, that's going to basically be remedied with this cool new tool. It'll give you ideas on what you can do to improve your content, how to improve your click-through rate, things like that. So a lot of that's going to be coming out in 2024 as well. And then, of course, they've also got this new thing called the Dream Screen. And it's something that still they're playing around with. A lot of people have said that it may not be useful for every creator, but it could be really useful for B-roll. It's called the Dream Screen, and it's essentially kind of like if you've used any of the Adobe tools, you can come up with video clips based on anything that you want, and it will generate something computer generated. Sometimes it will pull from actual B-roll in a community. So you may be able to use it for B-roll in the future, but they're still working on it. It's not super streamlined yet, so that's just something that potentially could be coming to the scene towards the end of the year, but that will be some opportunities for some extra B-roll just directly on YouTube, so you don't have to go looking for it. So some cool new things, especially in the AI scene for YouTube, coming up in 2024. But the closest thing that's coming is that thumbnail tester with the 3 thumbnails, and that's going to be coming out in January, according to them, what was announced at VidCon.
Yeah, and are they going to release it just to some or all?
It sounds like it's going to be to a select number of people, probably higher subscriber accounts. But yeah, they said that the first release will be in January.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see. That's so so Marilyn says, as passive prospecting video editing clients, do we A/B test thumbnails, or does the team do that for us? I believe you should be doing it, right?
Yeah, well, we have the ability to do it if you're using our editing service. It's on a case-by-case basis. We usually have some criteria. We want you to wait for a certain period of time after your videos go live, just because we need to establish a baseline. So there are some criteria in place for that. But yes, if you request A/B testing on a certain video, we can absolutely set that up for you.
Yep, that's it. So other than that, if there's anything else you wanted to add, I just kind of wanted to give an update on our year end. I'm going to be we're not going to be doing the podcast next week for Christmas, of course, and then I'm going dark. I am going to be revamping the passive prospecting program and redoing practically all the modules. I think I'm just going to give it a full revamp as well. So for those of you that are in our program now, you will get those updates. But I told the team already I'm going dark next week. No meetings, nothing. You can call me. I said you could call me or shoot me a text. That's fine. But otherwise, I'm not doing any planned meetings. I'm just going to sit here and work on the whole format, restructure it, and get it ready to go for 2024. So all of our current clients will get those updates included in them. And if you're not in the program yet, I highly recommend it. It's changed so many lives. I mean, just look in our Facebook group. The activity is off the charts. It's one of the things that just really makes my day special. It seems like almost every day we log into the Facebook group, and I'm just seeing success stories and engagement. The community's helping each other. There's a post just a couple of days ago, got 50 comments on it. So averaging 10, 15 comments where people are just helping each other, asking various questions and working through that. And I think that we have a really strong community inside the Facebook group. And then we have private community inside of our program as well. So that's something that is not visible to the public, but still, I love the Facebook group is really, really supportive of everyone on there. We got a great crew. We're going to be doing some more trainings coming up, and ready for the new year. I'm just excited. We've got some big goals, but we've got other projects we're working on now as well. And everything is just falling right into place, and it really feels like the perfect positioning right now. And this year was, I would say, it's a challenge, especially even for us. We went from 156 transactions to 58. That's 100 transactions less. That's a big deal. Now the thing is with organic YouTube, I don't know, that's, man, whenever I say that out loud, that's like, oh, that's such a gut punch. But also a lot of companies have closed their doors, and we have not. We're still in business. We run a pretty mean and lean shop. And so, not a lot of people could take a 100 transaction cut and survive. So we're fortunate that we've made some good financial decisions, which, by the way, is one of our core values, which is to make smart financial decisions. So that's helped us out. And, not everybody's been fortunate this year. If you're on here right now listening to us live, then I would assume that you're in a position that you are going to be moving into 2024 as an agent, which is a big congratulations to you. So, it's just going to take a little bit more work. It's going to actually a lot more work right now. Now, if things change, interest rates come down, it may get a little bit easier, but we're not planning for that. We're making moves and adjustments to, work in the market we're in, and also work towards, the future, and also make sure that we control our environment, not the market controls our environment. So, has it been a challenge for us? Yes, even though we, you look at social media, these types of things, and yes, we definitely talk about the successes, but that's a huge hit to lose that many transactions, but to still be in business, that comes with doing things correctly and working on your business and making sure that you are allocating your resources and your time and your energy and your people in the right places. So, if we come back, when we come back to those transaction numbers in 2024, then it'll just be icing on the cake there. So, whatever position you're in right now, if you've had a challenge through this last year, it's okay. I think most people I know have had the exact same thing. A lot of people have gotten out of the business. Very few teams, only a couple of mega teams I've talked to that have surpassed what they did last year. So they've really cracked the code on that. But they've had to increase a lot of things, increase ad spend, increase lead flow. So those types of things do matter. And we're going to be continuing with increased content to make sure that we can capture 2024. And so if you haven't planned that out right now, you need to do that. I would highly recommend take next week. If you don't have clients or showings, take that time, sit down, force yourself, get in the office at 8 a.m. and sit down and start writing out your goals. Start writing out, what do you want to achieve? How are you going to achieve it? You have to put together that plan in place, and that's what's going to give you the roadmap, right? The blueprint, the business plan. It's really a business plan for the next year. At least the first quarter, we basically plan for the quarter, but what we did in our quarterly session was we put out the big number for the year, and then we worked backwards. Okay, what does that mean? And each quarter we adjust for that. So we are calculating, like, if first quarter is not as good as second quarter, we need to adjust. So I think we adjusted for second and third quarter being better quarters for us, and we January we've got a little bit less of a goal, and fourth quarter we've got a little bit less of a goal. So we account for that. So we know if we can stay on track for January and February and March for Q1, and we can make it to second and third quarter, we've got bigger goals, bigger revenue numbers that we need to hit. But we know that we'll carry that momentum as well into there. But also, we worked on personal commitments as well. Everybody has accountability towards things that they have to do and have to do in the business to help with their contribution towards meeting those goals. And then we follow up with them every single week. We have specific meetings just for following up on the quarterly commitments. And every single week, we're looking at what did we accomplish over the last week, and what percentage are we pacing for our quarterly commitment. And quarterly commitment could be revenue, it could be money, it could be transactions, it could be, we have various different things. But even if it's some sort of task, we'll still mark it as a percentage. Okay, we feel like we're 10% of the goal, we're at 15, we're at 30% of the goal, we're at 80% of the goal, and we'll track that. So each week we're seeing how are we tracking towards our quarterly commitment. And that keeps you very accountable. Plus, we do that with all of our executive team on there, so everybody's looking at each other in the face. And if you're not hitting your quarterly commitment, then you've got to look at the other team members around you. And that's not a good feeling. You don't want to be that person. So, and that type of pressure is good. It's not, we're not sitting there snarling or scowling at each other, but it's like, hey, okay, all right, we're always asking, okay, what can we do to help you? What can you do? What can we do to help you achieve that? Or do you need help from us or from me or from someone else to get you there? So, we're always trying to figure out ways that we can help the other person, if they're falling a little bit behind, get there. So it's a true team effort. I love our team. We crushed Q4 of this year, and it's really going to carry that momentum into next year. I mean, this was a really good Q4 for us, and so I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing you all in the new year. And if you need any help or support, jump in our Facebook group, and there's plenty of people in there to help out. That's like a 24/7 customer service hotline right there. If you ask a question, you're going to get 10, 15 answers, likely. A lot of commitment. So it's good to see you all here. I'm going to wish you all a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and a solid 2024 coming up. If we can help you out in any way, please let us know. Don, my man, good to see you down there. Hope all is well with you. Jennifer as well. Solomon, good to see you. And Megan and Tammy and Sharon and Micah and the rest of you. Appreciate you so much. And we will see you in 2024. And here's to you. Make sure you commit to your goals, plan for Q1, and we're ready to rock and roll. And we will see you next week.
Thank you for joining us on today's podcast. If you're interested in partnering with us to access our YouTube course and coaching at no cost, schedule a call at passiveprospectingpartner.com.